shit.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait.
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Our seed business, it's a growing seed business. I think about it in three different ways. I think about our corn business as a rebuild. We've had significant share. We're really done a lot of investment and focus to make sure we've got better and improved hybrids into the marketplace that are going to deliver strong with growers and in the best trait packages in the industry with more choice. When I think about our soybean business in Eastern Canada, it's been a very strong business on both our conventional and our traded business, and we will continue to grow that and add more products in our lineup and continue to grow our share and add more value for growers.
Good afternoon. We just heard from Dan Wright, the head of seeds for Syngenta Canada. And now we're going to talk with Matt Hoyer, who's our product placement scientist who deals strictly with soybeans. So between Matt and I, we're going to have a discussion about some of our soybean varieties, and maybe he can critique, I can say, and we can work together to get you guys on what's going on in the Stoney Point area.
No stranger to this area. Used to be a sales rep a few years back in the Stoney Point region, and you know, it's a very different market, and excited about what our offering is moving forward. So product placement scientist, and so covering Eastern Canada, but I think what's unique to Southwestern Ontario as we get into that Stoney Point area, I'm also covering Michigan and into Ohio as well too. So those markets really cover some of the same environments that we see in the Stoney Point area. So excited to talk to you today about some of the products we have to offer. I think additionally, I just want to talk about our breeding program. So Syngenta is very fortunate to be able to bring forward traits in both Extend previously and now into the E3, so the 2,4-D trait platform. And we've also got products in that Extend Flex trait platform as well too, but really concentrating on the E3 and proprietary genetics in the E3 moving forward.
So I'm going to stop you there, Matt. Can you kind of go and say, okay, we talk Extend. What does that mean?
Absolutely. So Extend basically is dicamba plus Roundup. And so that's been our current trade offering in the market for the last few years. And as you know, we have a few good introductions in the Extend trait platform.
Cool. So then we're talking Extend, which is dicamba, and you can also spray Roundup. And then when we talk about E3, what does E3 mean?
So E3 really is the addition. So you're adding Liberty, you're adding Roundup, and now you also have that 2,4-D option. So providing you a three-way mode of action to combat weed resistance.
So for resistance management, that's going to be another great tool in our toolbox, correct?
Absolutely. I've really liked this, what I've seen with 2,4-D. Within the NK brand in Michigan, we're already seeing a huge transition to E3. Almost 80% of the portfolio is the E3 trait platform, and for good reason. We're a lot of urban area in Michigan, and additionally, we have a lot of specialty crops, but I'd say even very important for that Stoney Point area and surrounding it as well too, because we do have a high concentration of greenhouses in that area.
And tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes, hort crops, like quite with the marshes down in Leamington. I know that's kind of different from Stoney Point, but there is some diverse crops that we need to be careful for. And then we'll just touch on briefly Extend Flex, not in our maturity pipeline right now, but Extend Flex is dicamba and Liberty, correct, with Roundup?
Correct, yeah. So another three-way mode of action. And again, here we're looking at specific markets and where that best fit is for the trait. And right now we're leading within the Southwestern Ontario market within that E3 trait and focusing on that. But we do have opportunity if the need presents itself to bring forward Extend Flex varieties.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. So let's just kind of go right into what we have in our Extend portfolio, which would be, again, the dicamba and Roundup traits. So kind of my go-to early day bean is 25B6X. To me, this bean is just phenomenal. I'm going to say that about all of ours, just because I love this portfolio and these maturities so much. 25B6X, big, huge, bushy bean, goes across, to me, any acre. There's no one watch out, I would say, with this bean in that Stoney Point area. It's got great genetics, and I would say its only weakness, technically, it's got great phytophthora, it's got everything, would be SDS. Would you agree with that or have anything to build?
I would, Stephanie. And 25B6X is just, to your point, goes across any acre. And additionally, those genetics, we had a Roundup Ready to Yield version years ago called 26P3 that was sold in Michigan. And I was always envious of that bean, right? So these 25B6X comes from those genetics, and those genetics just broadly adopted, go across any acre. Now the sudden death syndrome, yeah, if you're in high pressure sudden death syndrome acres, recommend probably putting Saltro on those acres, but overall, very good performance. And I think from a soil type as well too, Stephanie, you see that big plant type canopies, but on some of the coarse textured soils, we see that in Western Michigan, where there's a lot of coarse textured soils, is really where this bean excels. So just great performance across those acres.
And when we're talking Saltro, just so everybody knows, we're talking about a brand new seed treatment from Syngenta that is specifically designed for sudden death syndrome. So you put that on addition to your Vibrance Max, Fortenza Vibrance Max, or Cruiser Vibrance Max. It's a bolt-on or an extra tool in your toolbox to help against those sudden death issues. So I think what I also position 25B6X is double crop after wheat. So any wheat acres, 25B6X, even though it's still a full season maturity, I would say, you can still get that in that Stoney Point area as a double crop bean. And I've seen anywhere 40, 50 bushels in double crop coming off as a double crop bean, which is to me fantastic and shows that the flexibility of this bean has. Awesome. So we're going to move on. 29R5X. This is honestly my favorite bean that we have. The reason is it's a 2.9. So we're looking at a 2.9 relative maturity, but it is actually, I would say, acts a little bit earlier. So it's not a long day bean, but it's not a short day bean. It's a perfect fit for this maturity. It's got a peaking gene for SCN resistance. So we're not using the typical source of resistance. We're seeing that in the field. It's fast to the ground, great yield potential. Again, pretty big bushy bean. Great phytophthora. Any weaknesses to this bean, Matt?
Not from what I can see. I think when we talk about white mold, the white mold can be that industry standard, that average for white mold. But you know what, guys? A lot of the times in this maturity, we don't see white mold. It gets a little bit too hot, so not a major concern that's limiting this bean. But I will add to this, Stephanie. This is one of my favorite beans, and for the reason that it has peaking and top of the line sudden death syndrome. So we've actually done some work with Albert Tenuta. And even I won't speak on behalf of Albert, but I would say those looking at the plots were very impressed at its ability to stay green under high pressures of cyst and to maintain that yield. And just a quick little story, Stephanie, you've been to their Dresden SDS screening site. So we were able to take yield a few years back, and this peaking line was 20 bushels ahead of some of our PI 88, 788 sources of resistance in other varieties. So really seeing that benefit and that consistency of performance on acres where we may be experiencing rate shifts for peaking.
And when we're talking peaking and PI 88788, those are sources of resistance specifically for soybean cyst nematode. So just, more info when we talk these things. We talk it like every day, but not everyone knows this stuff, right, Matt?
Absolutely. And I think maybe to add here, Stephanie, as well, too, something that Syngenta does a little bit differently here. So we do confirm with marker, whether it's peaking or PI 88788, but we really want to see how it performs in field. So Syngenta, and not every other seed company that out there does this, but we do run through a greenhouse to ensure that we get top of the line cyst resistance.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Matt. So another one, 31Y2X, our longest season bean. Again, I can't say it enough, goes across many soil types. We've seen it on heavy clays to, your light sands, kind of in that Harrow, Leamington areaway. Again, big, huge bean, great disease package, good standability, comes out of the ground fairly quickly, hitting that 75 bushels, 80 bushels in some areas. It's just got the great yield potential. Does this have a weakness?
Yeah, you can't beat 31Y2X, and some of the key features about this variety, if you think about the background, it's got that top end yield potential. So Stephanie, I remember you shooting me some plots from some of the Southwest there a few years ago, top in that 75, 80 bushel per acre. Just a lot of yield to this bean as well too. And I will add, the sudden death syndrome on this bean is just excellent. But finally, and I say white mold doesn't occur that often as maturity, but these genetics are known for their white mold. So very good white mold tolerance with this variety as well too.
So what I would say in our Extend platform, we pretty much nail it. Genetics, yield, it's all there, correct?
I think it is. You tell me something we haven't got.
So awesome. So if we move over to the E3s, which is our enlist trait, which is the 2,4-D with Liberty, the ability to spray Liberty in crop as well as Roundup, either pre or post, we have one offering as of today, which is our 26 E3. And when I look at the 26 E3 and what I saw in the field is it's basically a great bean. I would say it's probably a little shorter than our Extend beans, which to me, good things come in small packages, so short isn't an issue. It goes across quite a few different soil types. It's got a peaking gene as well for the SCN source of resistance. It's got a decent Phytophthora and Pythium package. Like, it's got everything as well. Do you see a weakness with 26 E3s?
I don't. And the nice thing about 26 E3 is that prior to launching here in Ontario, we also launched in Michigan. And this really is a bean. They take this bean as a sexy bean in Michigan. Just a nice deep green color to it, excellent standability. Now, one thing you will notice as you get into wider rows and you want to plant a little bit earlier. So if you're in those 30-inch rows, a lot of those pods are in the main stem and it doesn't have that big canopy like 25B6X. So we want to manage for that row width as well too. But when we look in our 22-inch data and less, just phenomenal performance from this bean.
So ideally, 26 E3 shouldn't be in 30s. I'd leave that to 31Y2X or 25B6X for sure. And even that 29R5X could probably go 30s fine.
Absolutely. Yep.
Perfect. Do you want to mention anything about the bean, the new E3 that'll be coming for 2022?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I've been talking to you, Stephanie, a little bit on this new 2.8 and really excited about this bean and for the following reasons. I mean, first of all, proprietary genetics. So these are coming from our elite conventionals that we're bringing into our E3. And that's kind of a unique feature of Syngenta and using our trait integration facilities to do that. And that's why we can bring forward traits so fast, but really like these genetics. And so when we look at white mold, so very good white mold, sudden death syndrome tolerance, excellent sudden death syndrome tolerance. And then finally, something that I'm really excited about, especially for that Stoney Point area where we might get a little bit of those tighter clays, tougher type soils, poorly drained soils, is that Phytophthora package. So we have RPS 3A1K. And then additionally in the data on poorly drained soils, it's doing a fantastic job. So second to none disease package. And what I also like is that when you move into that Essex area, that Stoney Point area, it also holds its plant type. So we had trials out at Harrow this year on some clays and just looking phenomenal.
Wonderful. That's exciting. That's something that will be even more exciting than our current portfolio and something we can add to it. So that is awesome. Anything else to add on our soybean portfolio before we go?
I think you covered it, Steph.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Matt. And hopefully, if anyone has any questions, they'll reach out to either of us.
Awesome. Thank you.
We were just here with Matt Hoyer, the product positioning scientist for soybeans. He specifically deals with soybeans, and our product placement scientist for corn couldn't be with us today. So I'm just briefly going to talk about corn for a minute. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second here. And we're going to talk about NK's corn portfolio. So we're pretty excited here at NK because we have some pretty unique traits to the market. We have both Agrosure Viptera and Agrosure Duracade. And what does this mean? Agrosure Viptera is the first vegetative insecticidal protein in corn. So basically, this offers above ground pest control against about 16 different pests, which is super exciting because it gives you most of all resistance to Western bean cutworm. It gives you some other pests as well, but mainly the one that we talk about most is Western bean cutworm. And this is built in, it's an insecticidal protein that basically the pest consumes a little bit of the protein, it digests it, and then it gets rid of the pest. So then in all of our new corn hybrids, we now have something, for the most part, in I would say about 90% of our hybrids, we have Agrosure Duracade, which gives you potentially both above ground pest protection and below ground. So it gives you the Western bean cutworm and that type of stuff, plus it gives you corn rootworm. And these are both very unique to the market traits that NK offers in their corn. So when we're talking about corn hybrids, obviously NK denotes NK, then we have the relative maturity, and then here is our nomenclature. The 5 is for Duracade, the second number is for your broadleaf, the next one is for corn rootworm, sorry, the last one is corn rootworm, and the other one is corn borer. So here we're looking at one of our hybrids. It is a 30 hybrid. Excuse me. NK0243, which means it's 102-day corn. It's Duracade. It does not have Viptera, but it has 2 for corn borer and 2 for rootworm. Obviously, with Duracade, we get 2 traits for rootworm. And so here you can see the difference between a rootworm and a non-rootworm root and the feeding there. So what I like about NK0243 is it's fairly broadly adapted. It's got average test weight and really good grain quality. It's got excellent stalks and roots, and it is well adapted to some drought-prone soils. So probably not the best fit for your heavy clays, probably better on some lighter texture soils, but it will do well on those fine to medium textured soils. It's got great emergence, and it's really good in our environments. So here you can see some data against the competition, some pioneer ones, and some decal, and we're right in line with some of the competition. Now I'm really excited about 0472 because this has both the Duracade and the Viptera trait. So it's got your above ground and your below ground pests that you're going to get protection against. It's got awesome stalks, great root package. It's got really good test weight and grain quality. It does go across a number of soil types. It says it excels on coarse textured soils. I would agree, but I would say it goes well on those clay textured soils. It will probably get a little bit shorter, but this hybrid is super tall, so a little bit shorter in height is not a bad thing. The one weakness I would say is its northern corn leaf blight. So if you're going to apply a fungicide, this would be a great hybrid that would respond to a fungicide. And we know that every hybrid responds differently to fungicides, but we've done some work and we know that this would respond to something like a Miravis Duo. And here you can see the 0472, this blue line relative to the competitors in the market, and it's doing very well again. So when we look at the 102, 104-day corn, that 75 to 31 heat unit corn, the difference in the trait package, the 0472 with the Viptera, but both have the Duracade, which is the rootworm trait. Stalk strength is good, faster to the ground. They're both really good on emergence. One is a flexier and one is a semi-determinate. So you could probably adjust the population and you get some good results out of doing that. Good stay green, but again, the northern on the 104-day is probably a little bit weak. So I would add a fungicide like we talked about, and those are the 2 hybrids that I would focus on for the Stoney Point area. Thanks.